we are going to be having a product masterclass, and this is going to be spearheaded by an industry veteran, Subhodeep Bhattacharya. Subhodeep is a principal product manager at Hypersonix, and he has been a product leader with diverse experience in software product management, particularly when it comes to retail, when it comes to e-commerce, logistics, finance. Post his bachelor's in engineering, he went on to pursue his PGP program in artificial intelligence and machine learning from Purdue University. Of course, did his MBA as well from the University of Illinois, Urbana-Champaign. His core competencies include product management, and this is something that he'll be speaking to all of us today in this masterclass, via the masterclass, product strategy, cross-functional leadership, artificial intelligence and machine learning, big data analytics, team management, stakeholder management, agile software development. He's also someone who's very, very passionate about helping everybody understand the nuances. So therefore, he's sharing his wisdom that he is applying on a day-to-day basis as a principal product manager at Hypersonix. I will let you spearhead the entire conversation. Subhodeep, over to you. Really looking forward to the product masterclass.
Thank you very much, Nija. It was quite an elaborate introduction, but thanks again. Welcome, everyone. I think, this is your, I don't know if, Nija, have the students had another session or similar session with Masters Union before, or is there the first interaction with Masters Union?
We are having your product masterclass for the first time. Of course, we do weekly webinars on products, though, to give them a flavor of how the MasterCamp is structured, the placement-focused product masterclass, MasterCamp that we're running.
All right, sounds good. So welcome, everyone. So I'm hoping and I'm assuming that you have some background of what this program is about and what Masters Union is about, and you are excited and interested to pursue the program, and that's why you're here. So I'll firstly congratulate you that you've made the decision that you want to pursue a program to upskill yourself and become more industry relevant. And perhaps maybe, either you're already a product manager and you want to learn more about the art and the science, or alternately, maybe you're trying to switch into a product management role full time, right? So in either of the two cases, it's a great decision. Learning and getting additional skills is what all of us have to continue to pursue in our professional lives, especially in this competitive world, right? To stay abreast and succeed in our professional journeys, right? So again, congratulations and welcome again to this product management 101 session set by Masters Union. So as Nija said, I've been in this. All right. So before talking a little bit about myself, here's what we're trying to do today. We'll try to just understand, or we'll try to give a preview of kind of a small quiz on what AI ML could solve for, or how you could solve certain problems as AI using AI ML. Understand some of the very basics and some very high level kind of concepts and topics on AI ML, right? Life cycle of ML products, and what the role PM has to play in that, right? And again, talking about some real life AI ML products, and then talk about your journey as a product manager in the AI ML world. What would it look like, perhaps, right, whenever you make that switch? And again, if you have already made that switch, great. But then maybe if you have certain specific questions in AI ML or in general in product management, we're happy to address those. So please share those over the chat, or also if you want to speak out, please raise your hand, and we'll try to take your question as time permits, right? We'll try to keep it interactive, make the best of the session, right? So that you feel comfortable with the program. Yeah, so as Nija introduced me, I work as a principal product manager for a US-based startup called as Hypersonix.ai. We develop SaaS is software as a service based cloud product to help improve the revenue and profitability of retailers and e-commerce businesses based out of the US, right? A little more about the product itself, right? So, as a retailer, as an e-commerce business, you want to always, be maximum profitable, right? When you run your business, right? However, because of various nuances in how the e-commerce business or retail business is run, you have supply chain constraints, you have demand prediction constraints, you have various constraints because of which it's not easy for you to take those or make those decisions on how you should run your business, right? And that's where our company or my company tries to help using these products which have advanced data and analytic capabilities. Prior to this, I was with AP Muller Maersk, which is a shipping logistics organization in a similar role as a product owner as well as a delivery lead, developing data and AI-based products. And before that, I have spent some time in KPMG as well, right? And I have an MBA as well as I've pursued a AI/ML program also from Purdue University. A little bit about myself, but then getting into some of the details of the session. First, want to start by asking, for you guys to identify, here are these questions, or here are the scenarios that you see on your screen, right? And I want you to think about, should you use AI ML to build or solve these problems, right? So maybe you can, take a minute to review the questions that you see on the slide and think if AI ML could be used to solve these problems. Okay, so I'm assuming all of you have read through this. Now, unless you're from a background of AI, ML, and data products, I would, doubt that you would be able to rightly answer these questions, and that's absolutely all right, right? And that's why we want to help you, so that you could answer these questions, right? Once you have taken the program and taken the class, right? Now, keeping aside AI, ML, and data for a minute, right? If you think about it, right? Product management is all about maximizing the value of whatever product you are building, right? And when you build a problem, you're essentially either trying to solve a problem, right, in a systematic way, or you're trying to, utilize some opportunity that you may have to make additional money, right? Now, in both of those cases, right, it will come about these scenarios or these kind of questions or problems that you would have to solve for, right? Right. And at that juncture, you would have to, evaluate as a product manager, what should be the right way to solving the problem, right? And how could you solve the problem so as to get the right kind of accuracy, get the right kind of user experience, get the right kind of adoption, engagement, monetization, etc., right? And for you as a product manager, it becomes very important that you know, or you have the right tools in your arsenal, right, to make those decisions, because your team is going to be relying quite heavily on you, right, to give them the guidance and make decisions in how something should be solved, right? And that's where it becomes very critically important for you to even understand, what AI ML is about, right? And how does it look like to build an AI ML or data based product, right? So these are some of these questions, and this is just a sample or example that I've posted or reflected on the slide. But there are going to be many such questions or many such problems that you would have to solve for when you become a real, or whenever you switch your, either you are already in a similar role, or maybe when you switch into a product management role, you'll have to make those decisions, to solve these kind of scenarios that would be presented to you, right? And that's why it's important, right, for you as a product manager to know how to go about using technology, and more specifically AI, ML, and data products to solving those problems. So what exactly is AI, ML product management, right? And is AI and machine learning the same thing or different, right? I think in general parlance, in general terminology, in general, literature, you would, hear people talk AI, ML in the same breath. But is it the same thing? If not, what is the difference, right? And these are some of the nuances we want to talk about, right, and try to clarify, right? So I won't read much on the slide, you could read yourself, but in simple terms, AI is basically the capability of the computer system to act or behave like a human, right? And mimic some of the cognitive functions that humans have, right, in decision making. Now, in order to build that capability in a computer or in a computer system or in a product, you have to do what is called as machine learning, right? So machine learning is basically the mathematical process or process of modeling data mathematically so that the computer learns and understands and then starts to behave as what a human would behave, right, when given a certain scenario or presented with a scenario, right? So that's the nuanced difference between the two. While they are similar or sound the same, but they are not exactly the same thing, right? Machine learning is basically the process of modeling a computer program to mimic the cognitive functions of a human, and that set of cognitive functions is called as artificial intelligence, right? So think of it as, the machine learning part is the learning part or the training part, and then the application part is the artificial intelligence part, right? So that's a bit of a small nuance difference that you need to know, or you would know, right, as get deep into this topic. Do you think it's important to understand AI ML as a PM, right? If you think about it, right, if you look at various systems and products that we use in our daily lives, right, highly likely, they're all driven by some kind of technology, right? You name it, right? You name Facebook, you name Instagram, you name your Dunzo application to order something, you name big basket to order something, you talk about Netflix, you talk about essentially the digital economy, so to speak, right? You talk about crypto platforms, you talk about news sites. Everything that you come across today, right, as a technology product has some AI ML capabilities built into it, and highly likely that the product that you would saw that you would manage, or a part of the product that you would manage when you switch into a product manager role would require you to understand what AIML is, right, and what data is, or rather what types of data are there, and how you should think about problem solving and product management with data, right? That's why it's of paramount importance for you as a learner to know what AIML is, right, and as a product manager for you to know what AIML is and how you would apply AIML in building products, cutting edge technology driven products, for solving problems or creating opportunities for the organization that you work for, or for that matter your own organization, right? Maybe you want to open a startup, you want to create your own products. That's going to be great, right? You want to become an entrepreneur. That's going to be awesome, right? And for you to become an entrepreneur and develop these cutting edge products, you of course need to know AIML, because the whole world is switching in the direction of advanced technology, right? Or enabling the products to be driven by advanced technology, and AIML data is what is powering that advanced technology, right? So no matter where you go, and whatever kind of PM roles you play, right? Either you play a PM role in a technology organization, or you play a PM role in a more of an industry organization, or you play a PM role maybe in some kind of a service organization, right? Wherever you play a PM role, you would need to know how you can make a difference and add a value in the product that you're managing using AI, ML, and data, right? So that's why it's very important for you to know the concepts of AI, ML, and data, and how do you apply that for product management. Again, feel free to ask questions either through chat or by raising your hands. And Nija, please do let me know if there's something that I can answer. So, this is the typical ML product life cycle that I've, tried to reflect here on the slide. And I won't talk through, too many things here right now, because of course there's a lot to talk about and we don't have enough time. But, this is a, high level view of how you would go about building a AI ML driven product. You typically have 4 phases, if you will, right? You define the objective, you acquire the data, explore the data, you model the development, or you develop the model, right? And then you deploy the model, right? And there are different tasks that have to be done, right, for each of these steps. And it's not that you would do it as a product manager, but you would play a critical part in any of these steps or any of these phases, right? And that's something we'll cover more in detail, right, when we have the main session, right? The main session spans, in fact, for 2 days over, I think, 8 hours, right? So there's a lot to cover there. That's where we get into the details of what we are seeing today, or what we're talking about today, right? So you really need to know, where you play a part and what part you play, right, in each of the phases of the ML product development, right? So again, as I said, so where does the PM play a role in the AI/ML product development cycle, right? You play a role in pretty much all of those phases, or all the 4 circles that you saw in the previous slide, right? But again, you don't play the same role, right? Your role and your responsibility kind of changes in the different phases of the product development. right? Because of course you are going to work with your team, right? And the team will consist of data scientists, consist of back-end engineers, front-end engineers, deployment, engineers, and so on and so forth, right? So, while you'll be involved in all the phases, but your roles and responsibilities will differ phase to phase, right? And those are certain things and nuances that you learn more about, right, when we talk on this topic in detail. Can you think of, AI ML, right, in the products that we use on our daily basis, right? And where do you experience the outcomes of AI ML PM in these products, or where do you add, or what kind of work AI ML PM would be doing on these products, right? You can maybe take a minute or two to think about it, and if someone wants to take a go, it'll be great to hear from them. So again, these are the products, and maybe you've used all, maybe you've used some, right? Most likely you use at least one on the screen that is shown. I want you to spend a minute or two to think what AI ML feature is present in that product, and think what kind of a role or what input the AI ML product manager would have given on this product. Any questions so far, Nirja, that I should try to address, or are we good?
I think we're largely good. Also, to all the participants, you can unmute yourself also while Shubhadeep is asking questions. Please feel free to participate and take more from this session, because everybody is having an access to talk. So if you want to unmute yourself more, that I think that'll be better for all of you to learn. Shubhadeep, what do you think if they unmute themselves?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I said, I would encourage you to ask questions, because you may have certain doubts, you may have certain things which you are not clear about, right? If you participate in this program, or if you learn more about the AI ML data, the segment of the program, right? What would you get out of it? And you may have many questions. Should you come from a technical background to be part of the, this segment or this part of the program? In fact, I'll talk about it in a minute. But you may have some other questions. Please do ask. I'm happy to answer those to you. Anyone wants to give it a try, and it's okay. You may not be absolutely right, or maybe at least if you want to give it a try, that'll be well appreciated. So if anyone wants to talk about even one feature, and one feature which is the AI ML feature, right, and what the PM may have done, or what was the PM's input in that feature development, right? That'll be great.
Hi, sir.
Yeah, please.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Probably personalized recommendations. If we go with YouTube, it might assess our behavioral patterns and give the recommendations when we log in again. Same
Yes.
with Netflix, it might give us the recommendations, for example, the different genres of movies we watch. Optimized path for Zomato delivery boys, or the same comes with Uber also. So, and Spotify, I think we can get again the playlist recommendations. So that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. So firstly, thanks for coming up, and having the courage to answer. I think it takes a lot. So thanks for that, right? And good job. And in fact, yes, you are right. In most products that we use today, right, we have recommendation system built in, right? If you think about Netflix, if you think about Zomato, even Blinkit, to be honest, I have not used much, but it's kind of similar to, I think, what is it called? Zepto and Dunzo, right? In that product, even Netflix, even Spotify, even Amazon, YouTube, all of those systems have a recommendation system built in, right? Where it tries to recommend to you, the best item, or the best movie, or the best song, or the best video, or the best, whatever, the food, etc., or best picture that you may like, right? Or the content that you may like on those platforms, right? Now, that's being driven by a recommendation system, right? And if you think about it, right, the product manager has to firstly define, or identify the problem statement that they're trying to solve for. They need to build a case, on why that problem statement needs to be solved for. right? And then they need to provide a certain user journey for that problem statement to solve for using AI ML, right? So for example, in case of Netflix, right, the problem statement or the hypothesis is, as a user, I want to spend the least amount of time to get the best movie that I should watch next, or best whatever show that I should watch next, right? And with that hypothesis, the product manager will have to do certain data analysis, understand how long it takes to get to the best movie. What is even best movie? How is it defined, right? What is the best movie, or what is the best show, right? How do you define that, right? And because for everyone it's different, right? So you have to define that best, right, or the most ideal next choice, right? You have to define, as a product manager, you need to define that. You first need to hypothesize. You need to gather data to understand it's worth solving for that hypothesis or that problem statement. And once you have established that, then you need to define, right, what is that best, right? What does it mean, right? And then you may potentially also give input, technical input, in what kind of recommendation system may work. Again, it's not something that you would do in isolation. You're working always with a team, and you're going to work with team of capable data scientists, data analysts, machine learning engineers, etc. But you need to define essentially the requirements, right, on what that best recommendation system should look like, right? And once implemented, what kind of value add would it provide to the user on that platform, right? So you're going to be kind of owning the outcome of this hypothesis that you started with, right? And again, I'm talking about when Netflix began as a product. Of course, now there are different problems on Netflix, or different problem statements that the product manager of Netflix will try to solve for or optimize for. But I'm just saying, at the time when Netflix was introduced as a platform, or any app for that matter, right? Whenever it's introduced as a platform, right, you need to define what kind of outcome you want to drive out of it, the hypothesis for it, the data to support it, and then the possible AIML solution, if that's applicable, right? Because not all problems need AIML to solve for, right? That's another thing that you're going to learn when we talk about this program in detail, right? That not all problem statements, or not all opportunities need you to have some kind of AIML system behind it, right? That's not the case, right? And as a product manager, you need to also even understand that part, right? Where you should use AIML, where you should not, and why, right? That's a very important thing, because everything you do as a product manager has a cost, or has certain capabilities required to build that experience or build that feature, right? And you need to choose the right method, or choose the right capability for solving that problem, or solving for that opportunity that you may have, right? So we're going to learn more about in detail in the main program, right? Does that help? Does that make sense? Any follow on questions you have on this? I mean, I've shared this in a summary, but of course there is much more to it, right? It's not just that small summary that I've spoken about. You have to, of course, as a real product manager, you have to do more things. You have to get more involved in all of that. But in a summary, or at a high level, this is how the flow would be, right? For whenever you're trying to solve for a problem or an opportunity, in a technology domain, right? Another question, which I don't know if you already have an answer for, but it's a very common question that comes about from students is, okay, I'm not from a technical background, right? I'm not from engineering background. I'm not from, AIML or data analytics background. Is this right for me, or is the program right for me, or is the AIML, segment going to be right for me? Will I understand what is being taught, and how I may be able to apply that in my work? The answer is no. You do not need to come from a technical background. You do not need to have been an engineer yourself, or a software developer yourself. You could be from any background, because the program is not tailored for a certain background. It's a program which is tailored, or built in a way to enable students from any or all backgrounds to understand what AI, ML, and data program product management is, and then be able to confidently apply that whenever they get into a product manager role, right? So you may be even from let's say commerce background or marketing background or sales or what have you, right? You should absolutely be okay to understand what would be talked about or discussed in the real class, and should give you enough confidence as a product manager to think through solving a product or a problem using either AI/ML or not using AI/ML, right? So don't feel that you'll lose out if you're not from technical background. You will absolutely not lose out anything. You'll be absolutely okay like any other student of the program. How to prepare for AI/ML PM, right? And again, step one is of course to understand what AI/ML is, as I've been talking through for the rest of, or in the session, the session so far, right? You need to first understand what AI/ML is, the various AI/ML modeling techniques, where to use AI/ML versus where not to use AI/ML, because you don't always want to use a axe to cut a cake, right? Because each tool has its own merit. So many places you may not need AI/ML at all, right? You may go with a more traditional approach. So it's also important for you to know that as a product manager, right? So you need to know what AI/ML is, various AI/ML techniques, the AI/ML product life cycle, what kind of role you play there in the product life cycle of a AI/ML product, the AI/ML various techniques such as recommendation systems or classification or regression or time series and reinforcement, etc., right? And then you should feel confident enough that you can start to apply for AI/ML roles, or maybe in your existing role start to think through using AI/ML for product management and solving problems. So that's pretty much it from my end. I'm again happy to take questions that you may have. Again, as I said, there's a lot more to discuss. This is more of a preview of the actual session. We talk about even data. In fact, I have not spoken much, but we also talk about data architectures, various paradigms of data, right? Types of data, classification of data, data ingestion techniques or methodologies, the differences between them, right? And what is the relation of data with AI/ML, right? And how do you think about it in a 360-degree, right? How does the whole thing make sense, right? Overall, right? That's what we'll all be talking about in the real session. And as I said, the real session is over 2 days and spans over 8 hours, right? So there's a lot to cover, but again, it's very simple to understand, and it's not tailored for a certain background, right? It's for anyone from any background to learn and then be confident in starting to use AI/ML data as a product manager in your current role, or maybe switch as a AI/ML product manager.
Kishore here.
Yeah. Hi.
I have a question.
Mhm.
So I just want to know what the scope of PMs in Indian job market right now. So how it would be and what are the growth perspectives? And again, how the MBA is relevant here? Can we climb the senior PM roles without MBA, or else MBA is a must?
I got the second part of your question, how MBA is relevant. I didn't get the first part of your question. Could you repeat, please?
Yeah, what could be the scope of PMs in Indian job market? Do you think that there will be a good growth for the people who would be entering into this career path?
So what would be the scope of a product manager in the Indian job market or context of Indian job market? And then how does MBA help or does not help, right? That's the two questions, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, great. If you think about it, right, not only think, I wouldn't say think, right? If you do a little bit of a research, you will see that India has now, I think, 100 plus unicorn companies or startups that have become unicorns. What is a unicorn? A unicorn is a company which is valued at $1 billion, US $1 billion and above, right? The value of the company and its assets is valued at $1 billion and above, right? And if you see the unicorns that have been, or the startups that have become unicorns, right? And the time period of that, if you see that, or if you research on that, you will see that this unicorns journey or the startups journey has started, in fact, very recently, about 2015, 2016 and onwards, right? So most of the startups, in fact, the startup culture has picked up very rapidly in the Indian context, right from the time that the government kind of has focused a lot on digitization and streamlining of a lot of the things which were not organized, right? Maybe a few years back, right? Things like Paytm or payment, UPI payment platform, right? Digital payment platform. India is leading the world in digital payments platform, right? Trust me, even US and Germany, etc., do not really have the digital payment platform that we have today, which is called as UPI. And in fact, countries like Singapore are kind of borrowing from us the technology and the platform, right? So that's just one example that I gave here, right? That over the last 4 or 5 years, India as a country has created a framework and a structure of things which has made it easy for innovation and made it easy for entrepreneurs to create startups and grow those startups. And those numbers reflect in the numbers that I spoke about, right? Now we have 100 unicorns, right, which are companies valued more than $1 billion. And these 100 unicorns plus, we have created over a period of, I think, last 4 to 5 years, right? Not, before that. So what I'm trying to talk about, what I'm trying to tell here is these companies that, have become unicorns. And there are many such companies who are now startups and in a very, significant stage of growth as an organization and towards the journey of becoming unicorns, right? So all of these companies are, technology companies, right? If you think about Paytm, if you think about Byju's, right? If you think about, there's one called Lead Squared, right? And if you think about a few other names that may come to your mind, I don't have the names right on top of my head. Zoho, Freshworks, right? These are all Indian companies which have become unicorns in the recent past, right? And the trend is showing a very steep curve, which means that more such companies which have been startups are showing a very strong growth curve, and they are all technology driven companies, and which means that they need product managers to help create these new features, create new capabilities, and drive the growth of that organization to the next phase, right? And which means that the product manager has to play a critical role. They need to understand, again, going back to what I have been discussing all this while, right? Understand what is AI, understand what is ML, understand what is data, and how does all that tie together and become a feature, right? So I would say in terms of the career opportunities, it's very bright. If you even do your research on web job sites like Naukri or InstaHire and IM Jobs, etc., you will see many product manager jobs being listed there, which was not the case maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago, right? Because the overall industry wasn't at that place at that time. India has typically been a services industry, so to speak, right? We are mostly being known to the world for the IT services that we have been providing for 20 plus years to companies like Infosys, TCS, Wipro, Satyam, etc. But now that trend is kind of pivoting on its head, right? Now we are actually becoming real product companies and churning out real technology products which are making impact not just in India but worldwide, right? And again, I gave UPI as an example, or for that matter, Zoho or Freshworks, etc., as an example. Those have become worldwide companies, right? Not just Indian companies. So now is the appropriate time for you to switch into product management role, and it's going to be natural that you will get a lot of opportunities in this domain, because this is a domain which is just seeing the light of the day, right, so to say. And it's only going to be growing, and the demand for product managers and good product managers is going to be always on the rise, right? And that's why it's very important for you to understand technology and then think about how those technologies could be used in creating features and managing product features already exists, and taking your current organization or any other organization to become, a successful organization, which is, hopefully going to grow, become a big unicorn one day. And if they're already unicorn, become, even more bigger as an organization, right? So that's kind of my answer to your first part of the question. And you asked, okay, whether MBA is required or MBA is going to be helpful. Yes, MBA is absolutely going to be useful, because product management is an intersection of technology, design, and business, right? Now, maybe you already have some business background, right? So you don't really need an MBA. But if you have an MBA, it always will give you that edge, because there is a lot to, for you to do. It's not for you to actually create the code for these kind of products, but you kind of own the what and the why part of the problem, right? And for the what and the why, you need to have the right tools, which MBA can give you. Not that just MBA would give you, but the MBA can give you, so that you can shape the what and the why, right? Why should you develop the feature? How big is the market for the feature, right? What kind of user audience, or how many users may onboard on your platform if you were to create that new feature, right? Versus another feature, what would be the cost involved for, rolling out that feature and then supporting the feature over time? What kind of revenue projections do you foresee if you were to roll out that feature or create that feature on your platform or your product? All those things, you will be able to, draft and present much better if you have an MBA, and be able to then, become successful in your product management journey. But again, having said that, it doesn't mean you always need to have an MBA to become a product manager, because a lot of these things, either you're already doing in some sense, maybe you're already from a business background, etc. Maybe you've already done, you're from commerce background or marketing background, etc. So you have those skills already. Or when you join or when you get a chance as a product manager, you kind of pick it, right, as you go along, right? It's not that you would need to know everything from day one, right? If you are kind of switching from a technical role to a product manager role, you will then have to pick it as you go along, right? And you kind of then start as a junior product manager or product manager, then you switch as a senior product manager. Then, depending on organization, you may have another level called as senior manager of products, which may also involve people management. Then you may have lead manager, group product managers. Right? Again, it depends on company to company. They have different ways of organizing the product management, the organization, right? And then, some cases you have principal product manager title, director of products. Then you have either you may have senior director of products. Then eventually you may have, VP and SVP and chief product officer, right? That's typically some form of that is kind of instituted in these organizations, right? So you may start from level one product manager, and then you kind of pick up some of the business skills as you grow in your product management journey, right? You may not need to have an MBA for that. Does that answer both your questions, or any follow-on questions? Happy to answer that.
Yeah, thanks. That makes sense. Thank you so much.
Hi, this is Somdeep. Actually, I'm working in a manufacturing company in an R&D division. So my role just consists of making machines or products based on some client's requirement. And these clients are internal clients. So my question is, does this course, does it cover the implementation of AI or ML in products in the manufacturing industry? I will just give a small brief. What I do is I get requirements from the internal clients to develop a process or to make some products to do something. Okay. So based on the requirements, I make designs, analyze, inquire, procure the things, assemble it, and implement. You can say from imagination to implementation, I own the product. So I'm interested to implement AI or ML in the products I make. So again, my question is, does this course cover the implementation in manufacturing industry?
So the course is not focused, as I said, towards a certain background of the candidate or the student. So it wouldn't really talk specifically about AI ML in manufacturing industry. However, having said that, we will cover the topics in detail, on which then, you would already be able to start thinking where you could use AI ML in your industry that you are in, right? So you will get the skills and the confidence to at least start thinking, where and how you could apply AI ML in the industry you are in, and to develop and manage the product that you are developing and managing, right? But not specifically for the industry that you are in. But yeah, you will definitely gain enough skills, and you will really have the confidence to think through and how you could use it. Right? So again, and we can talk more in detail, specific to the problem statement you may have. But yeah, it will not really be talking only about AI/ML or AI/ML only in manufacturing industry.
Hi, this is Vinay.
Yeah,
So
hi.
I have a question. So basically, this boot camp, which is there. So after this, finishing the boot camp, so we can enroll into any kind of product we want, right? It's not only tech oriented, like it can be automobile also, industrial design related, or physical products like console designing of Xbox or any mouse design of gadgets.
Yes, the boot camp is, and again, maybe Nirja, you can add or clarify, but if I want to take, if I give my 2 cents on this, right? The boot camp is not for tech product management per se, right? The boot camp is on product management, right? And product management is a discipline which can be applied in various settings, right? It could be a physical product, it could be combination of physical and digital product, it could be purely digital product, and something similar, right? So the boot camp is not going to talk only about technical product management. It's going to talk about product management as a discipline and as a function, and give you enough tools for you to then be able to apply that in any industry you belong in, or any kind of product that you are managing or would manage. That's my 2 cents, but Nirja, you could also clarify if there's something else.
But maybe majorly they might be focusing on tech gen or tech industries mostly, but they'll also have learn give the inputs or disciplines of all anything, like it can be any product management of any field. That way you're
Absolutely. See, if you think about it, product management is not just digital product management, right? Product management is, as I said, it's maximizing the value for your stakeholders, right? That's a kind of a bloated statement, but exactly that's what it is, right? It kind of gives you the tools and the skills for you to think, how you could maximize the value for the stakeholders you work with, right? And whatever you're doing, you're maybe managing some physical device, you're managing or may need to create some physical machines or whatever you have, right? And you then start to think, okay, how can you maximize the value of what I'm doing? What kind of things that I should, pick on a priority, right? To maximize the value, right? Should I do X versus Y? And if I were to do that, right, what kind of flow that I'll go through, right? And the tools that you may use, etc., is all that is going to be covered in the program. Again, it's not going to be specific to any industry or specific to certain product, like a hardware or software product, but it's going to be the discipline itself, right? And then talking about how you could apply that in the industry that you belong in. And it so happens, happens that product management is very popular nowadays in all the digital product companies, right? But it doesn't mean that it's not used or not useful for physical or hardware products, right? There's so many Apple iPhone, or your Android phone is a good example, right? It's a combination of physical and digital, or for that matter, even a car, right? That's also a product, right? So you would get the kind of skills and tools for you to think from a product perspective, and then solve for to maximize value, and then you apply it wherever you are in, right? Whatever industry you're part of.
Okay, but this whole bootcamp is more into placements of like more of digital aspects of placements, right? Not the physical aspects, but the train you.
Yeah, I don't know much about the placements. I don't know if Nija, you wanted to cover that, how that works, etc. But yeah, I don't know much about the placements program here.
Okay. So can I ask you one more thing? Like, if someone asks why product management, like why you ended up choosing or doing, what made you do so?
Oh, that is for me. You're asking why?
Yes. I mean, I want to know your perspective, like all your experience that you have worked, like what made you landed in this role, and how you're living it up to, like how you see, like if someone asks why product management. why not something else? So how you will put it with your experience?
Yeah, absolutely. So see, when I started, of course, I started in the software world, right? And I started as a developer, right, in junior roles, right, working with leads and technical leads, etc. And I was basically doing things, right? Okay, someone will tell me do this, I would do that, right? I would, either create some kind of a database schema, or I would create some kind of a report, dashboard, something I would do as an analyst or as a developer, right?
Okay.
And then the way it happens, the way it works is right. Someone's telling you to do something, right? So they're kind of owning what is called as the, how and the when. So any situation you have in your work, in your professional life, it has kind of couple of parts, right? The what and the why, right? Which is to say, okay, what should be done, why that should be done. Then the other
Yes.
part that is there is how it should be done, right? And
Yes.
when it could be done, right?
Yes.
And then, of course, the doing part, right? So I started by the doing part. Then I kind of grew in the how and the when part, which is to say, okay, I would then, as a lead, guide some of my juniors on what kind of technical approach you may take, right? And then I would manage some of the expectations with the stakeholders on, when that deliverable will come about, right? So I was doing all that. I was kind of growing in my career, but then I kind of learned, right? And I was always interested on the business side of things, because typically, as technical I mean, that I come from a technical background, but not everyone may need to come from that background. But I'm just talking about myself, right? So in the technical background, or people who are from technical background, right? You typically, you're told something, you do that, and then as you grow, you tell, okay, by when I can do that. But then you don't really know why you're being asked to do that, right? And then what kind of value it adds once you do that, right? Finish a feature or create a product, etc., right? And that's the part that always fascinated me, right? I always wanted to know the business side of things, right? Why we are doing this project, or why we are creating this product, or why we are creating that feature, right? How does it add value to the organization, right? How does it what kind of costs we may incur if we were to create or do this thing, right? And why we should do it, right? Why we should not do something else, right? Because you'll always have 5 things to do, right? How do you determine what you should do, right? And how do you convince your company or your leadership on what you should do, right? So that's the part kind of fascinated me a lot, right? And that's why I was working heavily with business, but I didn't have the business context. So I slowly started to learn more about business. And that's why I also did my MBA, right? And I also then started to learn about, the what and the why, right? I mean, the MBA, of course, helped me. Along with that, some of the, product management things that I was also doing, then all of that kind of, came together for me, right? So I knew the how and the when. I knew the technical side of things mostly, right? And then I knew the business side of things. I knew the product side of things in terms of product management, as a discipline, right? And that's why it was kind of a natural flow for me. But having said that, maybe there are folks who like to be technical, right? Like software architects, or lead developer, right? Who like coding, or who like to create things themselves, right? They like the like they are the cook themselves, right? It's not like someone's telling, okay, what to cook. They don't like that part. They like the, okay, I'm the cook, I'm going to know like how much ingredient to put, how much oil to use, and how long to fry something, etc. I like that, right? So that's one stream of growth for you, right? So you become lead engineer, chief engineer, or chief technology officer, or someone who is more on the doing side of things, on the how and the when side of things. For me, it was slightly different. I wanted to be more on the what and the why side of things. That's how it was kind of a natural progression for me.
So do you miss sometimes the way you used to code, like being a coder, or the core where you started? Sometimes we miss being that part, right? Like that's the shell of a human body, you can say, coding.
Yeah.
For every
See,
product.
I mean, I wouldn't say I miss it as such. It's just different. I mean, I still work very actively with the technical folks and the doers, right? And that's why as I said, right, that's why I need to know AI, ML, data, what is that, right? I need to talk their language. I need to talk the engineering language, right? As a product manager, right? So that I can guide the team, as well as the team has the respect for me that they're working with, right? That this guy, knows what they're talking, and not just, okay, he's just from a business or, product background. Okay, he doesn't know technical nuances. He doesn't know, okay, I can. So that's important for you to know, right? And not for just digital products, any product, hardware product, or industrial product, right? Even if you switch on the the product side or business side of things, you still need to know, right? The technical side of things. Yeah, it just can't be 0 and 1, right? It has to be more balanced than that.
Okay, thanks for answering. Like, I got no new insights of different professions. Like, different people have their own background of the story, how they ended up or how they're doing. So I
Absolutely.
just
And
want
see,
to know that part.
there's no one journey for sure, right? I mean, product management is a discipline which is, in fact, to be honest, quite easy to switch into, right? From whatever background you're from, right? You could be from marketing background. There is a lot of marketing aspects in product management. You need to know how to, market your product, right? And how to reach out to your target audience, etc., right?
Yes.
So then your marketing experience comes in play, right? You could
Yes.
be from sales background, which means that you need to know, your sales projections, your sales numbers, right? And how you could, sell through different channels, etc., right? You could be from,
Right.
I don't know, like say HR or finance background, for example, right? You need to know financial numbers about your product, right? You need to
Right.
know financial metrics, the cost, the revenue, and all of that. You could be from HR background, right? So then that would mean that you need to know some of the people nuances that you are working with, right? And
Right.
some of the people aspects of the product that they are supporting for you, right? So it's in a way, easy to switch into this role, but to be successful is something that needs, of course, a lot of learning as well as experience, right?
Right.
So and that's where this program kind of gives you that first stepping stone, right? If you are interested in this kind of a role in your career.
Okay. Thank you for the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, if no other questions, Nija, over to you.
Great. Thank you so much. I think the way that you also shared your story made it more impactful and made it more relevant. I will also share a link if anyone is keen to know more about the placement focused product management bootcamp. Even Vinay was curious about the kind of placements that we're having. Of course, largely a pool of companies that we're having are tech enabled organizations, or just like even Subhodeep had shared that he's currently working with an organization which is a SaaS organization. So we have a lot of them, software as a service organizations. So a lot of tech-driven organizations coming on board, and there is a dedicated career support team over here, which will help you make a proper outreach plan, and then accordingly make sure that you're making your portfolio relevant. I will just share the link as well to the MasterCamp. If in case anyone's keen, please feel free to take a tour of the website. That'll give you more insight, more details as to whether or not the program is going to be relevant for you. Particularly, if you want, you can speak to a counselor as well from Masters Union, which will help you clarify and understand it a little better. So please make sure that all of you make use of that counseling session, try to touch base, and accordingly take a call for yourself. And this was, of course, giving you a flavor of how the classes are. They're interactive, they're making you think about real world scenarios, and practitioners like Subhodeep are coming to share their experience as well. So this is the link. And thank you so much, Subhodeep, for your time. I think the way that you conducted the session, and particularly giving us insights about your own career trajectory, I think that was really very helpful. And otherwise also how you linked it to your day-to-day activities, that made it really very helpful. Please feel free to take a tour of the Masters Union website. And should you have any other concerns, please feel free to reach out to our team as well. Thank you, Subhodeep, for your time. Any last minute thoughts before we part ways for the evening?
Yeah, no, thank you everyone for being part of the program or being part of the session this evening. Your time is valuable, so thanks for joining in. Again, as I said, there's a lot to learn, of course, in product management, but you've made the first step in the right direction, right? And I'm sure all of you, will be able to achieve your goals, whatever those are, right, in the product management space. especially once you are, get the right kind of tools in your arsenal, right, and become more confident in appearing for product management interviews, right, in your profession, right. So again, all the very best, and I look forward to talking to all of you again.
Thank you so much. And before we go, there's Gaurav Shetty's question. Can you please explain about the optional in-person mode? So Gaurav, basically it's a hybrid program. So we welcome everybody to come to the Masters Union campus. We're based out of DLF Cyberpark. Rather, over weekends, we have students who come, masters like Subhodeep themselves, they come to our Gurgaon campus, and that is where students can physically partake the session. So the idea and the intention is to simulate the real college-like scenario for all these classes. So that's the in-person mode that we're largely talking about. And we rather encourage all of you to do that. Otherwise, also, if you're not close to Delhi NCR, we have satellite campuses where we're facilitating meetups and catch-ups so that all of you can physically meet as well. So that is what we mean by the in-person mode that largely we're talking about. Also, there is the second round 2 application deadline. On the screen, you were able to see the round 1 application deadline. The round 2 application deadline is 23rd of September. So in case if you have spoken to our counselor, I've now shared the link as well. And if you think that the program is going to be appropriate, especially with regards to your career fitment, then please feel free to fill the application and get yourself interviewed for sure. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Subhodeep, for your time. Thanks, everyone.